All right. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good evening, whenever you happen to be checking out this Zoom interview with my friend Lynn. We tried to do it on Instagram earlier. We just tried Facebook, but we're going to go with Zoom today. And then we look forward to sharing it via YouTube and all of our social media pages. So for you, those of you out there that don't know me, my name's Chad Putman. My professional background's in social work. I'm here in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I am the entrepreneur owner of Make Your It Happen. And I'm delighted to have my friend Lynn here with me today. And we're going to be talking about her life and her work as a sacred healer and the sacred healings that she offers her clients and how that came about. So why don't we first go ahead and get started with, introductions. Introduce yourself, how folks might be able to find you online, and anything else you'd like to share about yourself.
Great, thank you, Chad. I'm so happy to be here, and we're experimenting. We're learning as we go,
We are.
and I appreciate the opportunity. Yes, my name is Lynn Stravecky. I'm here in San Juan also with Chad. I've been here for 25 years, growing and changing my business, my life, and always wanting to find things at a different level on how to help people. And I am a sacred healer now for over a decade or so, but I've been in the healing arts for many years, probably more than 15. And I have a private practice as a psychotherapist. And so I do cognitive and behavioral therapy, as well as I combine the sacred healing, which to me is a gift. And I don't know if you want me to go in a little bit about what exactly sacred healing is.
That would
Yeah.
be fantastic. Please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
many people don't know it. There's only a very small group here on the island that do it. I'm the only psychotherapist, sacred healer on the island. There are others around the world who specialize in different things in their healing. I specialize with mental health and illnesses, it seems. That's what I do. I'm also intuitive, which helps in my practice and in the healing world. And I do sacred healing because of all the modalities that I have tried, and I have tried many, and I've flown around the world doing different things. I was a Reiki master teacher and pranic healing. I also studied cranial sacral therapy, but then I had an opportunity to receive a healing from a sacred healer gentleman who's now has been my mentor and master teacher for years. And once I did that, I was no going back. I said, I don't know what you did, but I'm going to do that. And sacred healing is energy work. It has a lot of people ask me, oh, is it anything to do with religion? I said, no, and not to do with religion in any way. It is very spiritual and it's energy work. I've been prepared and trained to receive, and I give that to the clients that I see. And it's non-invasive. You lay on a table, and I use quartz and crystals and different sprays that have been blessed, and they have crystals in the sprays. And I help this practice helps people remember who they are. Especially I work on the ashna. I open it up with a special elixir in the beginning of this session. And I works on DNA, karma, opening your spiritual heart, taking away fear, illnesses, depression, panic attacks. It works on everything. And I happen to have a little gift of also knowing if somebody is something's happening in their body, some type of illness. It just happens. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I always tell people that they should do their Western medicine thing with the doctors, but I am not a medical doctor, but I am more leaning, I would say, to the Eastern medicine style, treating the mind, the body, and the soul, or the emotions. And sacred healing expedites, to me, my patients times 10. Because talk therapy, I think, is part of the healing process. You must have that and process that. But the other part is healing wounds and karma. And I mean wounds, things that happen that you store in the body that gets stuck there, and you can't move forward because you have that blockage or that fear, which if it's not tended to and things just stuff, it can turn into illness. It can turn into depression, panic attacks, or other kinds of illness. So I really love treating patients this way, and not everyone is open to it. That's fine, but I would have to say 90% plus of my patients are, and I introduce it in the first initial session. And I explain what it is, and if they're drawn to it, they have to ask me,
Right.
which is the way it should be. You know, your soul has to say, hey, I want to try that. You know, I'd like to be open-minded to that. And I love it.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
fantastic. It's a good context. It provides some characteristics of what is involved in a sacred healing. For those, it gives a little bit of a context, but for those that might be more familiar with Reiki or massage, can you talk about how it's different from like
Sure.
those, or acupuncture, any of those other types of alternative therapies?
Yeah, good question. Well, this is a non-touching, like it's not massage.
Right.
It is a spiritual form where I may, if they allow me, place my hands while I'm giving them attunement in the beginning of the session, and after that, I'm not touching them. And we go somewhere. I take them somewhere, and it's a very spiritual, beautiful practice to have happen, and everybody's different. Acupuncture more is, needles touching, invading. I do not invade. It's not invasive whatsoever. And you have your clothes on, and I usually put beautiful music and prepare you with maybe some quartz that calm you, that usually I put them on the heart, or different sprays that I have to cleanse the energy before I start. And everyone is different on how they respond. Some may cry as I'm opening the heart, but a good cry, like, oh, thank you. Oh, their heart may have been closed for a long time, which happens when we're ill, or we're upset, or we have losses, or we're grieving. The heart shuts down. And then if the heart is shut down, you react from fear, the future, the past. You're not in a state of love. And if the heart is opened, it's, quite magical how the life can change when you're seeing things different because your heart is open. And what else can I tell you
As
about
far as
that?
Reiki goes, so Reiki's.
Well, Reiki, I applaud and honor every form of healing. And there's, I always tell people, Reiki, I did it for years and it worked and I loved it. I was a Reiki master teacher. But for me as a healer, I wanted to evolve, just like in any career or anything else. I wanted, something different. Reiki uses symbols, and I don't use symbols anymore. And it's over 3,000 years, and it's a good form of healing. But I evolved. It's kind of like, the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 12. They're both good. They both do something, right? But
Right,
the iPhone 12 is a little more spiffy, it does a little more things.
right,
And
right.
that's kind of how I say it. I feel sacred healing, for me, evolves a lot more in the healing process,
Mm,
and a lot more happens. And I don't do Reiki anymore. But to people that want to know about healing, they're more familiar with Reiki.
sure, sure.
But it's a healing modality, that's all.
Yeah. Do you mind talking a little bit about how you kind of personally and professionally prepared to do this work? Was there any work that you needed to do internally to be at a place where you could act as a healer? I
Oh,
know
yes.
myself as, somebody who engages in the social work profession, right? There was a lot of personal healing and therapy I had to go through to
Yeah.
be in a place where I'd be able to support and assist others. Can you talk a little bit about your experience?
I love that. That's a great question. Many, many years ago, I was going through, not only my patients were coming in with medication and all sorts of things, but at the same time, I was going through a life-changing event, which, I think sometimes, or I heard the other day, crisis equals opportunity, right? And I was having a crisis in my life, and I just like, God, I need help. And I love when the soul is ready, the opportunity will appear, the person, the place, the thing. And in my struggles, I was in a yoga class, and this is such an interesting story for me. There was about 30 women, and at the end of the hall that we were in doing yoga, I saw a woman, and I asked my friend who invited me to yoga, who's that woman? She said, oh, that's so and so. I said, yeah, what does she do? She said, well, she's a Reiki master teacher. I said, yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'd like to meet her for my patients. Maybe I can do referrals.
Mm,
And it just, mind-boggling how that started. And I met her, and I was drawn to her, and she worked on me for over a year. And she kept telling me, you have abilities. I said, I'm not, no, just keep doing your thing. I
Yeah.
need this. And I was not open to working on anybody whatsoever. I was just needing to fix me and evolve and get in a really healthy, great place, spiritually, mentally, physically. And after about a year or so, she poked me enough. I said, okay. And I took, Reiki 1, 2, 3. Then I did Reiki Master Teacher, and I was so happy that I did it. And then before I even graduated back then, I had asked my patients, if I do this, would you be interested? They're
Mm.
like, oh, yeah. So I had like about a handful ready for me to get a table.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
And from there, it just blossomed. And even during the pandemic, I was working with people all over the world doing distant healing, which I can do and I have done. I received from my master teacher too, distant healing, because it's energy and intention, and it's very powerful. So that's how I started. And it was on, it was supposed to happen because it just flowed. And then opportunities to do other practices happened, and to fly to the States and try different things. And then a gentleman, my master teacher, came to my house to do feng shui cleansing. I didn't really know him, but he was referred to me. And he's the one that I said, what do you do?
Mm.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'd like a healing. Because I'm all on board when somebody has abilities,
Mm.
and if I feel drawn to them. And he's the one that gave me the healing, and I don't know what you did. I need to do that. Oh my God. It was just very profound, much different for me than Reiki.
Yeah.
And so I studied with him, and I flew to North Carolina, and I studied with his teacher out there, Alba. And I've been in love with it ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, and just to clarify, so for those folks who are watching this and don't happen to have the benefit of being in San Juan, Puerto Rico with us, right? You mentioned that you are able to offer this service virtually.
Yeah,
Um,
I do that virtually, and I do my the talk therapy, psychotherapy virtually too. And many of my patients, even in San Juan, like that because of the time constraints and the traffic constraints. They'll be in their bed or in their car doing therapy. And then after, if they choose the healing, they go into a place where they can lay down undisturbed. I connect with them. I say a prayer to begin with, and I have my room. I do it in the healing room with intention, and I show them whatever I do on the table with quartz that comes to me that they need, and I send them that picture, and we talk after the healing session's done. They call me.
wow, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to share, the experience that I had with you. I had the grace to be able to sit with you and to be with you and to experience a sacred healing. And I've had the benefit of engaging in some types of alternative therapies and healings. I think I had a shaman experience that was really powerful in my early 20s, but it's been years and years since I've been able to engage with a spiritual healer such as yourself. And when I sat down and experienced the healing with you, a couple things happened for me. And I think what I like too about what you do in your work is that the opportunity to process my experience, and then you were able to process your experience afterwards to kind of debrief what happens for folks. And so when I did it with you, there were two things. One, I had a vision of and I didn't know what it was at the time, but I just mentioned there were like these two flames, and it was me and my husband, who have been together for 19, 20 years. And you're like, oh, twin flames. I was like, oh, what's that? But that was a vision that I had as I was engaging in the spiritual healing with you. And then at the end of it, aside from having some body twitches and clearing my throat a couple times as we were going through it, I really had this internal vision of so my father's father being in essence pulled out of the top of my head. And it was just this really kind of wild experience where while it was happening, I was like, no, Papa, it's time for you to go. I appreciate that you've been riding along, that you've been along with me for this ride, perhaps acting as a spiritual guide or something. But it was time for him to go. And doing the spiritual healing with you, I felt that happen. And so that was my experience. And I just, maybe if you recall, what we did and what we talked about and what you had experienced on your end.
Yeah, well, I said before, everybody's different and each healing session evolves. Even for me, I mean, I'm privy now with my guides, and I work with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael and many others, surgeons that come in. I see, and they allow me to see what's going on. Before I wasn't, and it's the same thing with people that receive a healing. You, as open as you are, you will keep expanding and seeing and feeling, although many things are happening. You just, a lot of people in the beginning, they're not sure, so they're a little guarded. And I always say after a healing, thank you for trusting me, because it can be a little, I don't know, what are you doing? Where are we going? It can be a little scary. And but if you're on the table, you know why you're on the table. And I won't work with people who are not sure and questioning me, because they'll block me, and I'll know it. And so and I don't push it on anyone, even though I know they should do it. Like my kids, I know they need it, but I say, you have to ask me. You gotta ask me. And they don't always ask, but it's a courtesy thing to the soul. And with you, so many beautiful things happened, and especially with your heart, your heart, when it was opening, it was absolutely beautiful. And your throat, I remember my throat was clogged a little bit. And I always tell people, if you're in the session and you feel so, don't hold anything back. If you want to cry, cry. If you have to clear your throat, you do it. Because if you don't do it, it comes through me. It doesn't hurt me, but I'd rather you do it. But you were doing a lot of releasing, your cleansing of your organs, and opening of the heart. And I think you definitely, your ashana went, because you're doing different things. I can see that now, since that you weren't doing before. And it helps you to remember who you are. As a healer, all my teachers have said the same thing. And I've worked with shamans, all sorts of people in the healing arts, and I'm hungry to learn and listen, because I want to keep going on that path. And they all say the same, that, in the spirit form, we decide to come here to evolve. And in order to evolve, you have to have experiences. And we come in and then we forget, and that third eye closes down. We start seeing through our regular eyes, right? And we forget, and then we get caught up in fear or illusion, because then the heart starts to close because it gets scared, and most people go through life like that. Then they have to come back and do it again, because we have karmic experiences we want to have, because the hardest and the best way to evolve as a spirit is in the human form. But it can be very challenging, as we all know. But the good news, is that if you follow your heart and soul, and you want to evolve, you'll find people to help you get there. I always tell people, you didn't end up on my table by accident. Neither did you, Chuck.
Right. You're right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
And neither did I in that yoga class. Why did I want to know, out of 30 people, who's that lady? I don't know. I got to talk to her. It was just mind blowing to me today that happened. So when the soul is ready, things will appear. And these experiences that we have, if you don't learn to embrace them, and like I said, crisis equals opportunity, you will start to get sick, and you will shut down, and you will keep attracting the same thing that you don't want to attract, and you'll be talking about it. And I teach people to reboot and retrain their brain. And to me, that is the key to everything, because most humans that I work with are focusing on what they don't want. And then they wonder how they get sick. Even cancer comes from a little petri dish of acid that we create in our body through our thoughts and our experiences, or our fear or anger or alcohol or whatever it is. And then they wonder, well, how am I get ill? Well, we make ourselves ill. And we can also cure ourselves in many different ways. Now, sometimes Western medicine is absolutely necessary. I never tell people not to. Sometimes you need to have, what do they say? Western medicine is evaluate, medicate, and operate. And sometimes that's necessary. As you know, I had brain surgery 2.5 years ago, and had to happen. It had to happen. Those things had to go. They were non-cancerous tumors. So learning how to control your mind and the body and the soul and being open to healing in a different way is miraculous. I feel very blessed and gifted that I can be of service to myself and to others, because traditional therapy just wasn't doing it for me, for my patients or me. I said, something's missing here in the equation. And I think more and more people these days, they're gravitating towards non-medication and self-healing or shamans or acupuncture or something, and I love that. And I tell people, just keep rising and listening to your soul where you need to go, and see what kind of experience you can have while you're here. Make it a good one so you don't have to come back and do it again.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you for all of that. And, you know, I don't believe in accidents either, synchronicities, right? We have
yeah.
synchronicities, and I believe that, when you're seeking spiritual teachers, you will find them. And there's, our interaction, our connection, the work that I was able to do with you, and then the work that I'm sure we'll continue to do moving forward, is part of that spiritual evolution, that path. I certainly look at you as a teacher and the experience that you shared with me. I wanted to make sure that we could get it out there to the world so that other folks could see and hear and connect with you as well. Along those lines, I just like to take a minute, and if you would, I know that you wrote a book and you shared your story. I'd really encourage you. We can share the link to your website when we post this out on social media, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your book, how it came about, and how folks can get a hold of it and hear more about your story and what you've been through in your life.
Oh, thank you, Chad. What an honor. Yeah, I never considered myself an author, but life happens. And during the pandemic and my brain surgery and being home and working a lot, I was given the message many times that I needed to write a book. And I was like, I'm not an author. I'm not going to do that. And so it flowed, and people came in and helped me. And I wrote the book called Howling Behind Cement Walls, and it's on Amazon. And it took a lot of courage and a lot of strength to do it. It is my story as a healer, as a psychotherapist. I'm also in recovery, almost 15 years from alcohol. And it took a lot of courage to do that. But I thought, well, this is who I am. And if my story, everything I've gone through, can help another soul, all right, okay. And it was a little scary to do it and put all my dirty laundry out there, so to speak. But I tell you, after I did it, I felt like it really wasn't for others. It was for me. It was such a healing process to speak my truth, make peace with it. And it talks about divorce and relocation and addiction and depression and a lot of women issues as well. And if someone else can identify that's what my hope is. And you can find it on Amazon. It's called Howling Behind Cement Walls, A Healer's Journey. Yeah.
Right. And folks can also find you on your website, which I'll make sure that as we share and post this, I'll put a link to your website on here. And then there's also a list of services that you offer, including the Sacred Healings is listed there, so folks can reach out to you that way. Is there anything that you'd like to add on to, or that came to mind that you'd like to share with folks, or any type of encouragement, final thoughts you'd like to just put out there to the universe as we wrap up this interview?
I'd say to anybody that's watching this, be excited, embrace your journey. Just say, what's next? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Whatever you have that you tap into, is the universe, a chair, God, just help me, guide me to where I need to go so that I could keep evolving. Give me courage, give me strength, and not stay stuck. And certainly not stay stuck. I work a great amount with couples. And all my couples come in very, very unhappy. Some of them with children. Children witness that. And I say, well, you're staying for the kids? No, you're not. You're staying because you're scared. You're not living your truth. That's not helping your children.
Mm.
And so I love, getting people to wake up. If you are struggling, I think every couple should be before, during, and after in couples therapy. absolutely hands down. I don't know, I didn't learn a lot of good stuff from my parents, but I had to learn it and evolve and study and create my own rhythm. You know, it is our job in this human body, in this time, to be responsible for our joy, our recovery, our health, our love. And if you are broken, I'm gonna put this out there because everybody's on the internet now doing dating. If you are broken and you are newly out of a relationship, and again, I say the word broken, you are going to attract somebody like the wolf to the sheep that's bleeding. And I don't recommend that for anybody. Find your root, heal it, love it, and then see what grows. Learn to have a mad, crazy love affair with yourself.
Mhm.
That's what I tell with the missing link I see in everybody. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that's what I'm doing here in San Juan, Puerto Rico. You know, I invested a lot of time, energy, and years into caring for and loving others. And I got to a place where my tank was really empty. And I needed to find a place where I could go and really do some personal healing while also, you know, maintaining those important personal relationships in my life. But, you know, one of the blessings that I have in having come to Puerto Rico is meeting incredible people like you. So I'm
Thank
so grateful to you and for the work that you're doing, and
you,
that we
Chad.
had an opportunity to do this interview today. And I look forward to folks connecting with you and reaching out to you and getting your book and reading
Oh,
it,
thank
learning more
you.
about, and maybe getting themselves scheduled for a healing. Maybe they'll schedule a trip down to San Juan in the middle of winter and come down and do a sacred healing with you.
Many people do. I have patients in Florida, Utah, Hawaii, and so they come here on vacation. They finally get to see me because we've been on Zoom for, you know, a few years. And I love that you asked me to be here today. So if anyone is interested in kicking their life up to a different level and finding out who they are, you know, I'd be happy to be of service. You can call me. I answer my phone or text me or email me, and I will respond to see how I could be of service.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Lynn, so much. Appreciate your
Yeah.
time. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Be well.
Bye.